Once Upon a Mama. I'm your host, Molly Ann Luna. Each week we call my mom, the original mom, Barb Ripley, to talk about ways of navigating motherhood at different ages and different stages. Because after all, once a mama, always a mama. Hi, Mom.
Hey, Molly, how are you?
I'm good, but holy cannoli. Did you hear what happened in the news yesterday with Matt Lauer?
Yes, it broke my heart.
What is going on in this world?
I don't know. It's every day someone else. Now, I'm telling you, your sisters and I are diehard Today fans. They've been there themselves. They've met him. I feel like I know them. Obviously, I don't. But we were devastated yesterday. Your sister and I were like, our heart hurts.
Yeah. So just right now in this, like the last couple of months, it feels like all of this like dirt and grit and just sexual, how do you even say? I want to say sexual misconduct. Harassment. Just all of these allegations and charges are just like surfacing up to the top.
Oh, they're bubbling.
And part of me is kind of like, good. Like, let's shine some light on the dirt so that we can freaking like clear the debris and just like, shine a light on just this garbage that's going on in our society. The other part of me is like, let's stop talking about it because what you continue to talk about, what exists, persists.
Persists,
Wait,
yeah.
no, how do I say that? What you resist. I said that wrong. What you resist
persists.
Persists.
Well, I mean, it's hard because being a woman, being in that position, I have never been in that position, but so they want to find a voice. So somebody spoke out. So they're like, okay, I'll speak out and I'll speak out and I'll speak out. But some of these people that it's been 30, 40 years, I don't know how I feel about that. They don't deserve to be treated that way, but why? Why are you all coming to, like, I feel like a lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon, I guess.
I'll be honest, I kind of live in my own little bubble over here, like running around chasing a Hana all day and then building a business. And, I'm just kind of in my own little world. So I'm not totally all up and up on some of these stories. So when you say 30 and 40 years, what do you mean?
Well, there's some politician that years and years, he's running for something. Now, I'm not political, so I'm not even going to mention a name or what he's running for, but he's running for something. And years ago, he tried to assault these younger teenage gals or try to get them. Some of them went to his apartment willingly, but then he pushed it a little bit far. And they were children, and he was in his 30s and they were 14. But they're all coming out now that he's running for office. Our president is not speaking out against that. And our president himself has been accused of things. The first thing that broke, I think, was the Harvey Weinstein. I didn't know who that was. He's a big producer. Okay. I get that. Probably in Hollywood, a lot of actors, actresses kind of maybe do something they don't want to admit to because they're trying to get where they need to get. I don't know. And then it was a doctor who worked for the Olympics. He's massaging, working on these young gymnasts and stuff. And so he crossed the line. And then it's just, I know you don't watch the news like I do, but it's just bubbled up. And yesterday, I want to say it kind of hit home because Matt Lauer, I invite him into my living room every chance I get. And as a flight attendant who travels and I get a little homesick, I'm like, I'll just turn on the Today Show and see my friend Matt in Savannah. And now he's gone, like poof. And now I've heard today more things that he's done and I can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like, who can you trust when it comes, through the media, especially. And especially for myself as aspiring to be an on-air personality, really recognizing the power of authenticity, of like just really being yourself. Because I think that a lot of people probably feel a little bit I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but like a little bit bamboozled by, he kind of comes across as one way, but then there's all this like secret dirt and scandals that are going on in the background. And it's like, that's not the person that I know.
Yeah.
It's like, who do you trust, right?
Yeah. And the thing, and my other question is, and I shouldn't question these women, but what is assault and what was just maybe an inappropriate, statement that maybe they're blowing out of proportion. I'm the type of person that could just kind of, like I said, I've not been in that situation, as physically been, but I'm the type of person that if someone says something to me, I just go, oh, ha, and just like brush it off, not take it seriously. I wouldn't run to my boss and be like, oh my gosh, this person just said this thing to me. And I'm not saying that that's all that happened to those women, but these people's lives are changing. His family's life is now changed forever.
Yeah.
And his victims' lives were changed back when it happened to them. So I'm not saying, I don't know what I'm saying. It's just
there's
much.
There's two sides to every story, right? And
right.
So sometimes when you don't have all the facts or you weren't there, like all of us weren't, it's hard to sift and sort between, was this person trying to gain something? Because these people that it's getting shined a light on, they have power and fame, and they have something that somebody wants. So sifting and sorting between what is the motive? Did it really happen? Did it not? But this is kind of a hard topic for me to talk about with you because it's not something we've talked about before. But as a woman who has been sexually assaulted, I don't know. I think it would even go beyond assault. I'm not exactly sure what the language is. And who went up to her superiors and said, hey, look, this happened and it's not okay. And I need your help because this is not okay. I don't feel safe. And then for those people in power to just brush it off. And then next thing you turn around, that other person, gets a promotion. And it's like, oh, you just be quiet, you little girl. Like, oh, it was probably your fault, So
I've never heard this before.
I know it's something that I haven't really shared with you because I want to protect you, I want to love you. I served in the U.S. Army for 8 years and some stuff went down, stuff like some great things came out of my experience in the military. For example, I met my husband. I got to travel the world. It put me through college, but there was also this whole other thing of just being in a man's world. I literally issued a man's uniform and men's boots and just this like power struggle. And so things went down, things happened. And so I know what it's like to be the woman who actually was assaulted and then not having a voice. I mean, I had a voice and I tried to use it, but not having anyone around to back me. It's not right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So with all this stuff bubbling up in the media, I'm kind of like, yes, finally, like, let's shine a light on this crap and some of this power that I don't want it to be a gender thing because I'm sure that there are probably women in power too who have done something similar with their subordinates, right? So it doesn't, but it just happens to be in the news right now, men assaulting women. That just happens to be the framework of the stories that are coming up and out.
Yes.
Right.
There's, oh my gosh, I'm just so in shock because what I just said now just sounds awful because you're telling me that this has happened to you. And like I said, I don't know. I wasn't there either, and nor had I heard about it. Being your mom, I always assume we know everything. So I feel like now I've just misspoken, kind of, because I don't know.
No, I don't think you misspoke because what you're saying is what you were really saying, I think, with your intention is like you just don't know. Because I want to say, let's face the facts. Like, we are in a society where there are some women who use their sexuality and use their charisma and we'll just say their bodies, and who have a willingness possibly to do sexual acts to get further along in their career or whatever it is that they're striving for, whatever they call success, right? Like there are women out there like that, or there are some that maybe like that never even happens, but they see the possibility of like, well, he's a big time, I don't know if it's sports or entertainment or, whatever it is, television producer, or movie producer. And, there could be a scandal behind it. You just don't never fully know what someone's intention is. But I guess I go both ways. One, I'm kind of like, I don't want to talk about it because I feel like we're just putting more energy into more of that event happening. But then on the other side of the coin, I'm like, yes, like finally, there are some of those women, and I will say men because men are assaulted as well, that tried to speak out and they didn't get a voice because guess what? My platform, it wasn't a big platform, right? Like it was, it was the military. It's not the news. It's not sports. It's not, so there wasn't that availability for me to just like really get my story out. And so in a way it kind of feels like, oh, good, justice or hopefully justice coming for those victims that were taken advantage of.
Yeah. I guess my part of my thing is too, like I said, some of it has been so long ago, and some of these people are just coming out of the woodwork, and maybe this is the time, maybe this is the only time that people can feel safe to come out and speak against those. But every day, I'm hearing something weird. Every day it's someone new. And yesterday, like I'm saying, on a little personal level, very little, that really hit home for me because I thought I knew who this person was. I thought I knew who Dustin Hoffman was. I thought Kevin Spacey. The first few people that came out in the news, I'm like, oh, I don't know them. That doesn't, in my little bubble, that doesn't, I don't get that. But when I invite these people on my television every day or into my safe space and think I feel at home around them. Mm-hmm. And then I found out that there's two different sides to this story. It was crushing, honestly. But to find out that something like that happened to you is really crushing. Like I had no idea.
Yeah. I didn't mean to like drop that on you, but here's the thing, like, we don't need to get into the details of it. It is something that happened. And for me, I've done a lot of internal healing work around it. And by no means do I think that I don't come at it with like, I don't come at it as like, I am a victim and fully, but at the same time, like, I know it wasn't my fault. I've decided to framework it for myself and for my own healing and for me to be able to move on and to be able to have a beautiful, intimate, loving, romantic, passionate relationship with my now husband, is to just come at it with, it was not my fault. However, I can see like little red flags, hindsight's 2020, right? Little red flags that led up to the event that I did not see before. And so for me, I feel like I don't want to get too much into it, but I'm in a space now where I feel I've done the forgiveness work around it. Mm-hmm. I feel, I actually ended up getting an apology from the man like 5 years later, like totally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I've come to peace and closure with it. But at the time it was very confusing and like, who do I talk to? And then I was like afraid to talk to anybody really about it because I didn't want them to think of me as like less than, like, oh, well, who was she? Well, cause like there's this conversation too around like, oh, well, depending on what she wears or how she's presenting herself and she asked for it. And it's like, no, I mean, I wore a military uniform. I was like 2 or 3 sizes too big for me. Like that had nothing to do with it, And, so yeah, I just didn't want to put that energy out there. I didn't want to like wallow in the like, woe is me sort of energy, but I also didn't want it to just be swept under the rug. So I did speak up and out, or attempted to, but unfortunately those that were in higher ranks than me were just kind of like, shrugged it
that
off.
happens, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's so unfortunate.
So that makes it easier for me to understand too, how maybe some of these women also, they talked to someone, they didn't get anywhere. They didn't, I don't know. Like I said, it hasn't happened to me, so I don't have a leg to stand on with that. It's just crazy to me that it's coming out every day. Somebody else did this and somebody else did that. And,
oh, go ahead.
No, it just feels like such an ugly time in our history right now. Like, is this, I just want to move on to 2018, because 2017, this has just not been a good year. It's just been such ugliness, and our president is even accused of these things, and nothing's happening to him either. So,
I just got the visualization of a glass of muddy water. And how do you make that muddy water clear? You pour in more and more clean water, and eventually you'll have a clean glass of water, because all of the dirt and debris and whatnot will spill out and over. So I'm actually kind of excited for this time right now, because I feel like this is just all the muck and gunk of our society that's getting pulled up and out. So I'm excited to move into 2018 and see what it has in store, and how we can step in and have another level of self-awareness, another level of compassion and empathy for one another, and to understand like there are multiple sides to every story.
Yeah.
And to, if you are somebody that has been assaulted, just know like it is okay to speak up. It is okay to have a voice and to share your story, and it doesn't have to be hidden away anymore. You're not less than, and I don't know. So this conversation could go on and on and on, but quite honestly, I really want to hear from the mamas listening to this podcast. And I want to know, Mama, what's your take on this? 1 out of every 2 women have been sexually harassed or assaulted in some way, shape, or form. And as a mother to a daughter, that is a fear of mine, right? Is I want to do, and as you, Mom, like you want to do everything to protect me, but we can't always do that for our kiddos. So bringing up this level of awareness, I think, is so empowering. So I want to hear your voice, mamas. Head over to mindfulmamas.tv, put a comment below, use the hashtag mindfulmama, and we'll jump in on the conversation. That's a wrap. You got anything else to say, Mom?
No, I'm just a little overwhelmed right now. So that's just such a subject that I'm just not educated enough on, I guess, maybe to even speak about. That's just what's been going on in my head.
Yeah. It's a heavy, you know what? That's a good point that you bring up. It is a heavy topic that a lot of people they don't know how to navigate it, and myself included. And so that's why I feel like it's kind of nice to have a platform to be opening up and having a conversation about it, and know that there's the questions you're going to ask aren't going to be wrong. It's just about raising the level of awareness for our society as a whole.
And there's 2 sides to every story, I guess is what, I mean, I'm not trying to stick up for these people that have done wrong. I just wonder what the situation, there's 2 sides to this story, each of these people's story. Mm-hmm. And I mean, only they know the truth. The 2 that were there are the only that know the truth. And it's just running through the news like wildfire right now. And
if they're false allegations, that can be hugely detrimental to the individual and their family and their career. Absolutely. I see that.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, how do you sift and sort through that?
That's what's getting me. But then I have to tell myself too, okay, when this did happen to this woman who's now 40 or 50 and she was 14, how has it affected her life, over all these years? So there's just a lot to really, really think about. So
there is. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for being open to having the conversation with me. I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. Be sure to head to mindfulmamas.tv to join the conversation. Also, join the Mindful Mamas community, a place for love-centered mamas to connect and share and grow, helping one another create happier, healthier, and wealthier lives for themselves and their little ones.